Good morning, IDP classmates, Physical Science 152. This is Chris Knipp, and I'm reporting to you about environmental issue, talking about outer space this week. Since Unit 6 is about space, orbits, and gravity, I thought it'd be fun to do a current event on space. So I started surfing and found some cool stuff about war in space, a major environmental issue that could potentially affect us all. We see movies like Star Wars and Star Trek, and we're wowed by the big budget Hollywood special effects. And it's especially important to see these movies in theaters on the big screen with amazing surround sound features. And lately, it's been more and more popular to go to movies, and they're coming out with these 3D special effects that put us right in the middle of the action like never before, forever changing the movie-going experience. We enjoy these fantasy experiences as we escape the realities of life, and then we embark on these adventures through outer space. My mind takes me back to the 1980s movie, The Last Starfighter, where Alex Rogan lives in this little trailer park, and he beats this record on this arcade game, and he gets recruited to go on this adventure in outer space and fight and save the world, which is every young boy's fantasy. But let me ask you, is it all just a fantasy? Could there really be war in space? Is there technology available that would help us have war in space? Are there any risks involved? Some say that it seems quite possible in the not too distant future that we may be experiencing war in space. Space wars, perhaps Star Wars. Dum dum da dum 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 dum. My article this week comes to us from globalissues.org. Global issues: social, political, economic, and environmental issues that affect us all. The article is called Militarization and Weaponization of Outer Space. The United Nations General Assembly had a resolution adopted in January 2001, and it simply states this: the exploration and use of outer space shall be for peaceful purposes and shall be carried out for the benefit and the interest of all countries. Irrespective of their degree of economic or scientific development. The prevention of an arms race in outer space would avert a grave danger for international peace and security. This resolution came about originally in 1967 with the United Nations Outer Space Treaty, which agreed that space should be used for peaceful purposes and for the benefit of all humankind. Towards the end of 2000, the United Nations General Assembly had a vote on a resolution called the Prevention of an Outer Space Arms Race, and it was adopted, a recorded vote of 163 in favor to none against, with 3 abstaining, and the 3 that abstained were the Federated States of Micronesia, Israel, and the United States of America. Various militaries around the world have already used space for years, but it's largely been for surveillance purposes only, for surveillance satellites. However, the Bush administration in the United States has long made it clear that the U.S. wishes to expand its military capabilities and have weapons in space, and therefore be a dominant in this 4th military arena, the other 3 being land, air, and sea. This new ultimate high ground would provide further superior military capabilities. But with all this talk about war in space, one might have to ask, are there any risks involved? Are there environmental concerns for war in space? There's this website called the Bulletin of Atomic Scientists. They have an article titled Preventing Space War. In it, they say to initiate war in space is to invite disaster, namely the destruction of orbital assets such as satellites, military and civilian, could create orbital debris causing chain reaction collisions, damage that would make space useless for the foreseeable future, not to mention that space debris, some of it being toxic, could rain down on Earth for centuries to come. Now, some people may get all uptight about this war in space thing, but I feel that eventually someone is going to do it. Someone is going to develop the capabilities and technologies to have war from outer space. Might as well be us first. Without it would be like a Wild West cowboy being challenged to a duel, walking his 10 paces and turning without a gun. The Commander-in-Chief of U.S. Space Command, Joseph W. Ashe, says that it's politically sensitive, but it's going to happen. Some people don't want to hear this. It's not going to be on the front cover of Vogue magazine, but absolutely, we are going to fight in space. We're going to fight from space, and we're going to fight into space. That's why the U.S. has development programs and directed energy and hit-to-kill mechanisms. We will engage terrestrial targets someday. Ships, airplanes, land targets from space. I personally see no problem with the military using space for communication, recon ops, and GPS purposes. We probably need to have the capabilities to be able to attack from space, giving us dominance in that fourth arena, so we're not that cowboy showing up at a standoff without a gun. But hopefully we will not see war in space, destroying satellites and creating space debris, hampering our capabilities for weather detection, GPS services, satellite, TV and radio, and ultimately ruining our modern way of life for a number of years. Militarization and weaponization in outer space is perhaps a necessary evil to develop these capabilities, but hopefully we won't have to utilize them to the point of destroying our atmosphere. I want to end this Unit 6 environmental issue on weaponization and militarization in space with a quote from General Lance Lord, head of U.S. Air Force Space Command. He says, "Space superiority is not our birthright, but it's our destiny. Space superiority is our day-to-day mission. Space supremacy is our vision for the future." Be blessed. Have a great week.